Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Year 7. This is a very brief summary of our settlements topic to help you revise for the upcoming test, both in the next couple of weeks and also at the end of the school year when we look at settlement stuff again. So first of all, the most important thing is, what is a settlement? A settlement is a place, typically one which has previously been uninhabited. That means nobody has lived there. Previously been uninhabited, and where people establish a community. Okay, now people live and migrate and move to different areas, and in history people have migrated and moved and settled in areas for different reasons. Three main ones really. The first one is water. People needed, and still do need, to live near water supply, whether it be for drinking purposes or hygiene or whatever. The second thing would be food and areas where you can grow things and fertile land, but also weather conditions too. Okay, people don't want to live in places and settle in places that are extremely cold or extremely hot or extremely dry. It has to, like the other stuff, have including water and places and weather where you can grow things and grow food. So we looked at a story in our first lesson where the Earth population started at 0 and people moved to areas with plants and animals and eventually settled and built up hills and built up into a population today of over 8.4 billion people. So we looked at some examples of settlements, and evidence of settlements would be things like roads and churches and houses and mosques and pavements, things that people use. Okay? In terms of the second lesson, we looked at choosing settlements. Our example was Aylesbury, and we looked at those three locations, X, Y, and Z. Some places were better to settle than others. Some places flooded easier, some places were higher up, therefore safe from like invasions and things like that, and some things were near to roads, which means they were very accessible. In terms of settlement patterns, we used example of Lefkosia. So in the inner city, you have, shops, businesses, lots of people walking through, less cars. And the further outside the city you go, houses normally get bigger and actually get cheaper. People like to live in the city because it's close to businesses. And the further out you go, you have to commute. You have to drive into the city if you live 35 minutes away, for example. This happens in not only Cyprus, but also London. In general, as you move out from the central business district, the CBD, land gets cheaper to buy or rent, and the housing tends to be more modern too. And we looked at Aylesbury as an extra example of this. So in looking at where the best place to settle is, one of the most important lessons of the year was the last one on this topic. We looked at sustainable development. Sustainable development means development that will improve our lives and basically not lead to problems in the future for your children and grandchildren, for example. Now, there are three strands of sustainable development. One was economic, so anything to do with money and wealth and jobs and earning a living. The second one was social, so that's about people, how we live our lives, our health, education, relationships, family, and leisure time. And the third one is environmental. Basically, our impact on the environment, for example, wildlife, air quality, rivers, climate, things like that. So you looked at Aylesbury's development, and we looked at different economic, social, and environmental categories. You should know and need to know what they are. And you created that Venn diagram where we put the statements into social or economic or environmental, or sometimes they were more than one of those two categories. And that is what settlements basically was. We looked at settlements where people live, why they live there, and the considerations of building areas and moving to other areas. And that's settlements. Any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll speak to you soon.